What's going on, YouTubers? What's poppin'? It's yours finest, hosted by yours truly. I'm gonna say something real before I get down to why I did this video. Excuse me. I sort of had this video yesterday. I sort of had met up with two people yesterday. One guy in Westchester to pick up some Tiger Force stuff that he's been bullshitting on. Then another dude in Jersey City that just whatever. You know what I'm saying? That didn't happen. But a couple days ago, I think, as a matter of fact, Friday or Saturday of last week, I did get one item. Well, I sort of had got one item, and I think I picked it up Monday, which is this. We're going to see what's in here. And then I got some other stuff that I think it came yesterday. Had to be yesterday, right? Yesterday, I don't know, whatever fucking day it was. Tuesday or whatever. Got these. These are all, I think they're all eBay or Evil Bay. But, you know, before I show this stuff, I just want to give my thoughts on this shooting with yet another statistic, another young black guy that was gunned down, running from police or supposedly whatever. And, you know, police, whenever they kill us, there's always an investigation. I mean, this country was founded and built on the backbone of racism. And just, it's crazy. I don't have to explain it to y'all, whether you're black, white, green, blue, or whatever. Wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter what shades of color it falls under. Now, the reason why I'm calling this kid's father a hero is because any real man, any real father figure, brother figure, or any man that loves another man or teenage boy who is trying to be in his life and do productive, positive things will be outcastedly insane to not want to exact revenge. Some of us have the balls and don't give a fuck. Most of us have rationally think things out and are afraid of the consequences from law. But then you get some people, as myself, who don't give a fuck about the law, who would actually kill a judge, a DA, kill whoever the fuck they have to kill to make somebody else feel the same way they felt for the sacrifice that they had to endure from losing a loved one. I mean, you get some people that they say one man can make a difference. I am a guy that I agree with what Timothy McVeigh did, why he did what he did, and I'm always going to stand by that. I'm also going to stand by why I felt Chris Donor did what he had to do, and I'm going to stand behind why I felt that Micah Xavier Johnson is a hero. For those, I'm only going to say those names. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know who Timothy McVeigh is. Some people may or may not know who Chris Donor is. Some people may even know less about Michael Xavier Johnson. Some people may look at them as being domestic terrorists or whatever. But these are men that one man each had make a difference. Even though supposedly Timothy McVeigh had help or whatever. I don't know. I just know that whatever happened in Waco, Texas, with what the feds did and how the feds went about doing what they did, a lot of innocent women and children, along with other innocent men that were killed tragically because they wanted to make a point and felt, hey, we're the fucking feds, we do what we want. So Timothy McVeigh took it upon himself to say, fuck y'all, and he did what he did during that Oklahoma City bombing. Do I agree with what he did? Hell yeah. Why the fuck not? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's just my opinion. How I feel about it. Everybody's entitled to their opinions and their thoughts. Some people may think it's shocking because of who I was and what I did and et cetera, but that's not the point. The whole point of the matter is being a man that's been unjust in his country himself and see how people treat him and look at him from a Hispanic, Caucasian, even other race discriminations and stereotypes that I've endured myself growing up in this country. I have, this country and that things that go on in this country creates domestic terrorists. And the divide is real. The divide is crazy. And I feel the way I do for my reasons. I can't go on other people's reasons. I do understand that this man is hurting. You know, I have a 25-year-old son who just turned 25 a couple weeks ago. I have a 26-year-old daughter who, God willing, will be 27 by August. And then I have a 16-year-old. And anything happens to one of my 3 kids by the hands of an officer, I'm letting y'all know on YouTube, I will kill his family and then him or her. And I'm saying that up here. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not talking out of anger or whatever. I'm just talking out of straight up frustration with just how fucked up the system is. I personally think that the feds need to be disbanded. I think IRS. I mean, I have my own thoughts on what I feel. I feel that the tables turn very, 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 very slow for us as a people versus the system. The system is systematically set up to have the agenda and propaganda to have you feel that they're above us and they set the rules and everything. And whatever they say goes, and they're entitled to say and do and feel however way they want. And if you don't like it, you can pack up and you can go fuck yourself. But in reality, we give them their power, but we forget that we do that and we get too intimidated. When I say we, I mean we as in the people, not me, because I'm saying this video, so I'm saying it for what the fuck it is. Nothing or nobody intimidates me or gets me scared, or I don't give a fuck. Do I feel for the family of a police officer? Of course I do. It'll be a heartless, fucked up thing to say. No, I don't. It's not because I don't even know what color the man. I mean, I think he's white, right? I mean, it doesn't fucking really matter. Human's human. Do I think that there could and should be more copycats behind this? I think this is what people need. This may shock people. Some people may be offended and very, very find me very distasteful right now, but I've been a black man for all my life. I've been a black person. I've seen history books. I've seen books that fueled my fire when I had to look in old test books that no longer are in schools, where I had to see a whole bunch of little kids, teenage kids, adolescents, adults, wearing and not wearing sheets, standing in the background while they were taking pictures of blacks being burned, mutilated, ripped apart, and they're in these videos posing with dead carcasses, half bodies on the ground being dragged by horses, all types of shit, and these are human beings. And it just grotesquely pisses me off on knowing how this country was founded. Even looking at, I've never said this before, but even looking at the dollar bill, I hate looking at the dollar bill, because when I look at the dollar bill, I look at a whole bunch of slave traders and slave owners on a piece of paper that I have to use in everyday life to get what I need, and it's deplorably disgusting to me. There's a lot of things in this country, period, that drives me wild. I don't say in the whole world, because I don't live in the whole world. I live in a small bucket in I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I just live, I live where I live. I've been around the U.S., and I could tell you from my endeavors, I've endured, I've been called the N-word, I've dealt with racism, stereotypical bullshit. I mean, I've dealt with it all. And being a black man in this country, seeing what other blacks endured and done to ourselves and each other along with others, and vice versa, I have a lot of anguish in me for a lot of stuff. I do sympathize with the fallen officer's family along with him. Do I think it would have made me feel better, or do I think it would have been a better, well-deserved message if the father ran down, gunned down, and or killed with his bare hands the cop that killed his son? Hell yeah. I think that would have been the best revenge and self-gratification he could have done. But, clearly sometimes, just like when you find your wife or your girl or your boyfriend, whatever, in an act with somebody, sometimes, what they call that, I can't think of the fucking word right now, but like when they temporarily go nuts and they just, yeah, killing the heat of passion. That's the word. And I think that's what it was. I just thought that he saw red, and he saw first cop. He felt he can get. I don't know what happened. Do I agree with what he did and why he did it? I can't say that because I was never put there. I mean, me personally, I can say as a father, would I would have done the same thing he'd done? Hell yeah. But I personally would have been a lot more strategic about it. I know it's easier said than done, but trust me, I would have been a lot more strategic about what happened. And my strategy would have been to follow this motherfucker home, make sure that his wife and his kids don't, make sure his wife can't produce for him anymore, make sure his kids don't grow up, and then I would have killed his ass. That's just me personally. That's just me. That's me. That's what I would have done. And yeah, somebody always say, yeah, but the law is crooked, the law is corrupt, and the law is one-sided, and the law is fucked up. The law has and always will be like that because the law does not stand for blacks or equality unless it's to their equilibrium. You know what I'm saying? And unless it benefits them and benefits their people. Because let's face it, the law is one-sided and the law will always side with the law. Only time the law is going to side with you is if you go to federal court and go through the federal judicial system to get answers. And not all the time you're going to win and or get the righteous thing that needs to be got. Because the system and the law is not set up for you. It's not set up for you to win. It's not. And this guy felt like he had to do what he had to do. There's consequences to doing what you do. That's for everybody. Do I find him a hero? I do. I mean, I do find him a hero in a lot of ways, and I do find him a martyr, and even in a bigger way. Because I feel at that particular moment he felt he had to do what the fuck he had to do in his mind to make them feel just as hurt and have as much anguish as he had. And I truly believe in an eye for an eye. And unfortunately, one man who was a target happened to wear the same shield, probably in the same state. I don't know the whole story, but I'm guessing it's probably the same police department, same whatever. I don't know. But do I think there need to be more actions like this to get our points across? Yeah. Yeah. I do truly believe that there need to be a lot more like this shit happens. I think, I also think that the system should turn around and start the same way when you're locked up and you commit a crime while you're locked up in jail or prison, and how now the way they found people to stop stabbing and doing a lot more in prison, things on each other is they start taking something that's more precious than anything. Because your freedoms are gone. So what they do, they found a way to start taking money and stuff from inmates in prison or felons, whatever the fuck you want to call them, by setting up tickets and stuff like that to where if you get, and you will be found guilty, because that's just the system is really going to find you guilty while you're in there because you're already a convicted felon. So they figured out a better way to stop inmate on inmate crimes or whatever by, taking money out your account by finding you guilty of tickets. And I think the same way they do that for them, I think they should start doing that for police. I do think that when police officers and certain precincts, sergeants, whoever, when cops are found wrongfully guilty of shit, whether direct or indirect, whatever, I think that they need to stop making them exempt. I do think that they should personally start taking money out their accounts. I think they should start losing pay. I think if they start doing a lot more of that to police and law enforcement, including DAs, ADAs, even judges, I do think that if they start doing that, I think there'd be less and less of them that would want to embark on infringing your rights and or trying to take somebody's life. I do think that if a cop kills somebody wrongfully and vindictively on purpose, I think that there should be a public execution. I think that, and I do think that the family should find street justice. That's just me. Again, that officer probably didn't deserve to lose his life. But unfortunately, he wore the uniform, and I'm pretty sure he, as well as others, know. And there's a lot of corruption and evil, sadistic cops and, their superiors in all these station houses around them. You got a lot of cops that, they know the wrongful shit and the fucked up shit that other police officers and their superiors do, but, they figure their hands are tied. And they don't like a lot of shit that goes on as well. They're still human, regardless of what race they are and whatever. But, they don't want to lose their career and lose their job and put their ass in the slinger for the next man. Just because, it is a self-righteous, selfish thing to believe and do. But so many practice it and so many do it. And the system knows this. And the system actually is okay with this. But every once in a while, you do get a Timothy McVeigh, Chris Donner, and or Micah Xavier Johnson, like this brother here. This brother felt he did what he had to do. I give him kudos and big thumbs up for doing what the fuck he felt he had to do. The way he manned up and kept his head up high. I don't like the fact that the kid's grandfather. I don't know if it's the mother's side of the I don't know, but all I know is I thought that was a real weak pussy ass thing to do, to sit up there and apologize like that. And then I just think that he should have kept his fucking mouth shut. Just spoke about what happened to his grandson and the tragedy of his family. But sitting there and talking about all this other shit, I thought that was some real sucker bullshit ass stuff. I basically said what I said earlier in this video. I'm gonna stay with what I said in this video. To be honest, I don't even think I'm gonna show the toys I was gonna show, because this video and that, it just doesn't go together. I started off with this and stuff, but I have so much anger. I have so much anger and pent up frustrations myself on how I feel about the system and what goes on in the system. I can easily understand why this young brother felt he had to do what he had to do, because the system is corrupt, the system is fucked up, the system don't give a flying fuck about us, and that's just known. And everybody felt the world's gonna change because of Black Lives Matter bullshit. I keep telling y'all 100 times, that shit was not meant, the abbreviation of BLM was not meant to be Black Lives Matter. It was meant to be Black Lesbians Matter. That's why that corrupt tuna fish, smelly, pussy eating bitch and her crew, got away with taking all these motherfuckers' money and stuff like that, because she was a piece of shit herself, and she gave her family and so many other people so much shit and didn't do nothing for nobody else. Because at the end of the day, during all these flamboyant protests and shit, some people thought Black Lives Matter meant black lesbians. Didn't know that it meant for lesbians matter too, because they felt like, the gays felt like, hey, we don't have no rights, or we don't have no this, and we don't have no that. Why everything's got to be evolved around black? Why it can't be about black lesbians? Why this and that? That's what that shit was about. And that's just how I felt and how I feel on my opinion on my channel. You know what I mean? I talk real shit, and I say shit that everybody else is too afraid and too pussy to say. My channel is very controversial. What I'm talking about now is not about a black and white thing. It's about a unity type of thing. This country was built on racism, evil, sadistic, hidden agendaed, fucking sick, puppet master, controlling bastards who do the same thing Democrats do. Always want to turn things into a race thing, and then everybody else fall along with it, because you have a lot of racists who serve, not only in the military, but serve up in circuit courts and run around, thinking they're entitled. They're taught to think that. Their kids are taught that. Their kids teach their kids this and that. It's a revolving door of sick, sadistic, stupid shit. Because at the end of the day, under the same sun, when you're looking down the clouds, it's just a one beautiful earth that's manhandled by a whole bunch of sick, sadistic motherfucking creatures who happen to be humans but show no humanity. And I do feel the way, I do understand what this father's going through, because if it was me, I would have done the same fucking thing. But I've been, like I said, I'd have been a lot more strategic about what I did. I wouldn't have picked one random person, even though a cop sharing his uniform and department randomly just, decided hey, I'm just going to fucking end this kid's life. I mean, I'm going to tell you something about police. Once you sit there and you automatically target a person and you're already, especially we all know you wrongfully going about this shit the wrong way where there's no probable cause. You already have in your head what you're set up to do and how you set up and how you plan on doing shit. We all do. You know what I'm saying? And he knew what the fuck he was about. And he decided somewhere along the line that, if I give him a chance, I'm going to kill this fucking nigga. And that's exactly what happened. And his father, the kid's father, was heartbroken because, come on. I have a 16-year-old. And if something happens to my 16-year-old, there's a great chance I'm going to jail, but it's a greater chance that I'm going to be, I hate to say it, but my wife and my two other kids are going to be dealing with 2 funeral arrangements along with other families, because I'm not emotionally equipped to trust and or give a flying fuck about the law and what the law will or may not do to an individual. Because I will take the law in my own hands, and I'm going to make sure you and your people feel it just as much as I am. I want other people to feel pain and be in despair as well. And so I can understand why this kid's father did what he felt he had to do. From one black man, a real nigga, to another real nigga. And I don't mean nigger as in G-E-R. I mean nigga as in double G-A. Like we look at this shit as a day in enlightenment, like saying, yo, what's up, bro? It's like on some, what I'm saying? It's like some real ghetto 5-star general type shit when I use that word nigga to another nigga. And you know what I mean? And anybody could be my nigga in a double G-A way. Not in a WGER way. Some people may or may not understand what that means or what is that about. I can't explain it to you. It's just something you got to be born into and grew up around to understand what I mean by that. I do understand that the system is broken. The system is fucked up. Not everybody, and then the person that says, I don't see color is full of shit. Because if somebody rob or rape somebody or do something in front of you and you're an eyewitness, what are you going to say? Oh, I didn't see the guy's color. I just saw what happened. That's no different than a person saying, hey, I got black friends. No. That's what an undercover racist or somebody that's not comfortable with themselves would say to basically juvicate, or I would say discreetly hide their true feelings, because a lot of people are intimidated by certain groups of or certain ethnicity people of different race and backgrounds. Some people may not know you and they just find you a threat just because of the way you look and the way you carry yourself. But you could be the nicest person in the world. Most of my people, most of my blacks, niggers, as y'all would say, in the hood, most of us are just guys who just want to be left alone. You respect me, I respect you. Me, I'm the kind of person that I've learned over the years that I think black people, especially black men in general, we don't, we're real quick to look at each other and see who can play the mean mug game of chicken better than the next man. And we get intimidated and angry real quick, but it takes a better and a bigger man to sit there and embrace that fellow brother. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we share a lot more in common. This is why, I've had people sit there and ask me, why you be like, what's up, brother? What's up, bro? And shit like that. Why y'all do that? And I say, well, it's not only a endearment of enlightenment, but it's like a code. It's a, hey, what's up, fam? We made it. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, what's up, brother? What's up, bro? How you doing, fam? That's like from one black man who understands another black man and understand the struggle of being a person of color targeted in this country. This is the reason why I purposely chose to wear this red shirt as I did this. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't just a generalization thing of me just wearing on the show. This was strategically picked out for me to wear this red, showing you guys that I'm a man of color who happens to know that we are all targets in this country. Whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, whoever, it doesn't matter. You know, some people still hide behind certain shit and they just feel a certain way on how they feel about certain shit. And that's just life. You know, me personally, I've endured, been through, seen, and experienced a lot of shit in my life. When I was a kid growing up, I remember seeing, like I said, those books. I remember sitting in Woolworth, and I remember my great-grandmother, along with my grandmother and my family. Because like I said, my family came up here from the Carolinas, and they had to come up here. I'm going to leave it as that. So a person that not only see, like, between school and movies and things like Yusuf Hawkins and just a lot of shit growing up in New York alone, seeing, and I grew up in the confounds of the 7-5 precinct. For anybody who don't know what that means, you're never going to understand. For those out there who know Brooklyn and who know New York, who know the 5 boroughs, can contest to understand why. Oh yeah, I get it. And I'm just going to leave it as that. I understand very well. And being a person of color, yeah, I may not have experienced the Yusuf Hawkins things and Howard Beach situations and Bensonhurst shit, and I may not have experienced Birmingham, Alabama, Mississippi and shit like that, but I have experienced all of it because I am a person of color who grew up in a very diverse area of New York, and having family from the South and being and going and traveling around the U.S. and other places as well, I can truly understand and say why I feel the way I do. And why sometimes as a black person, sometimes you feel like you don't have a voice unless you're acting out. And like this young brother who lost his life, and you know, now the family lost 2 family members. They lost him and they lost the father. Because now this man will spend the rest of his life in prison, or unless the Attorney General decides to make an example out of him and decided they may put him to death, or somehow he may just mysteriously hang up and or die in jail awaiting trial or whatever, because shit like that happens and they're not going to question it. The family and the attorney may, but they don't give a fuck about the family or the attorney, because they can eternally make sure this young brother pass away and make it look like a suicide. They know how to do that very well. You know, they done it to Epstein, right? And look what happened. You know, we all know what happened. You know, we all know what happened. Everybody knows what happened, but it's not what you know. It's what you can prove, right? And you know, I could sit here and talk about a lot of current events, but this event stung me the hardest because I've sat here and fantasized what I would do if I already know what I would do if I walked up on a cop manhandling one of my kids, or you know, doing something like that. That officer wouldn't be breathing anymore. And I'm saying all this shit on YouTube, and I don't give a fuck. You know, freedom of speech, and I'm saying shit for what the fuck it is. I'm being straight real. I don't give a fuck. No occupation I've had or whatever has nothing to do with it has no bearing on right is right and wrong is wrong. And I feel this brother. I feel, you know, like, I mean, it's unfortunately, I think it's really unfortunate that the wrong cop was killed. I think the huge, strong message, for the copycats out there and others, just set a better example and be a better martyr if that's what it needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? I felt that the message was loud and clear, but the message could have been crystal clear if he exacted revenge on the exact motherfucker that deserved it. So that way he feels it, and his family will be mourning and feeling it, instead of a innocent man who happens to bear the uniform. Because let's face it, whether you're white, blue, green, or yellow, there are a lot of good cops from all types of races, from all over, not only the U.S., but all over the world. And I would not say that all cops deserve this. I mean, you know, we're all human. You know what I'm saying? For the brother that did what he did, I understand why you did what you did. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, hey, we blacks out here share a confinement together as far as how the system and how people look at all of us as a people. And, you know, when you are a cop and somebody wants to get at cops or whatever, you are a target because you wear that uniform. You put that uniform on. And I'm not going to say that, you know, he should have woken up to be killed. No, I mean, I can't even sit here and call the father a coward, you know, because I don't know what was going on in his mind. I just know how I feel toward my kids. And I know I would have done anything to make sure that they felt how the fuck I feel. Because, you know, us as people, we're getting sick of it. More and more I look at videos on Cop Watch and everybody else, and what intimidates police a lot more is people know their rights more. People are videotaping more shit, and you see a lot more people that are not backing down from police no more. It's to the point now where when you grew up, you know, you went from, hey, always trust the police and say hi to them and everything, to now, you know, them being an enemy of our state, to now motherfuckers don't give a fuck about them. They busting back at them. They attacking them. They fighting them. They straight up showing them disrespect and shit like that. And it does make their job harder. But you know what? You have to learn how to fucking not only cut out the weed, but cut it out, spray it, and make sure it don't grow anymore. But you know what? When you have a whole bunch of, when you have a whole community of unions and shit that stand behind them, whether they're wrong or right, hey, listen, it doesn't matter. The law is right. We got to stand by because it's law. We got to stand by, you know, it doesn't matter if they're wrong or right. This is what has to happen. And that is the reason why people dislike and hate police. I know people that own, I mean, I'm not going to go into details. And I think it's kind of fucked up. But I know people that every time police come in, they give them special orders of drinks and food that they chalk down. And I'm going to leave that as that. You know, I have an inner hatred toward the system, period. Toward the system of law. Personally, I have the rights and the reasons to feel the way I do. I think the system should be torn down and rebuilt back up for all people. But we all know that the system is systematically set up for minorities to fail. Because we're not supposed to have a voice. We shouldn't be a voice. You know what I mean? Hey, you know, you come from certain areas. This is what life is. This is what life dealt you. You know, nobody told you to live here. Nobody da X, Y, Z. You know, you live like animals. You act like animals. Just because people live, just because people live in a pigsty, don't make them a fucking pig. You understand? And some people, they can't help where they come from and stuff like that. Some can, some can't. Most can't. All most can do is survive and wake up every day to go to life to somehow, if they can't get themselves out of the situation they're in, they try to, grow and nurture others that can. So this way we could figure out a way to break the cycle within ourselves. But just because we don't grow up in suburbia surrounded by a house, don't make you better than me because, hey, you come from a better upbringing or better this and that. Sometimes people, saying, hey, listen, man, nobody can cook eggs unless they break it. You got to break the shell to cook any type of egg you want. You understand what I'm saying? Unless you're the kind of person that could swallow whole raw eggs. But that may not have been a good metaphor, but in my head at the moment when I said it, it's good enough for me. This video is gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way. When do my videos don't rub people the wrong way? You know what I'm saying? Mostly all my videos rub people the wrong way. But I've always been the kind of person that never given a flying fuck. It is my opinion, and it is my thoughts on my channel. And at this particular moment, I just feel a certain way about what happened, and I felt like speaking about what happened because it's my channel, and I have a right to feel whatever fucking way I do. Me being a person of color, knowing how the system is, and knowing how police can be, I have to give a thumbs up and hey, it is what it is to the father. Because as a father myself, I'm not going to sit here and be hypocritical to be like, oh, what he did was wrong. We all know what he did was wrong, but we all can understand why he did what the fuck he did. Peace.